When a player reaches the absolute pinnacle of global sports, we stop calling them by their name. We call them the GOAT. We watch this footwork gliding past elite defenders and assume it is effortless. It leads the world to categorize talent like this as magic. But the tape from the streets of a small town in Argentina reveals a different story. It shows a boy dangerously small for his age. Look at this medical visualization. Instead of a normal trajectory, his data showed a sharply stunted growth curve. Doctors diagnosed a severe growth hormone disorder, and the treatment costs were out of his family's reach. Local football clubs looked at that same biological data and flatly rejected him. They decided he was physically unfit to ever play the sport professionally. The question is how a mathematically disadvantaged, rejected kid builds the world's most significant football legacy. The reality is instead grounded in a highly tuned psychological engine, a systematic, daily approach to labor, adaptation, and endurance. This engine starts with raw, relentless labor, deployed as a direct counterweight to his physical deficit. While other kids on his block treated football as leisure, he approached it as a survival-level discipline. He was playing specifically to secure his future. He tuned out critics and focused on mechanics, building world-class speed and ball control through grinding, obsessive repetition against a concrete wall. By the time his peers were relying on natural growth spurts, his foundational mechanics were so overdeveloped that he began to stand out for his precision rather than his size. The magic we see on the pitch today is actually the compounding interest of early, unseen physical labor. When a club finally offered him a chance, it came with a massive geographic displacement. He had to leave his country at a highly vulnerable age. He was stripped of his native dialect, separated from his family, and dropped into a completely foreign European system. The environmental friction was intense. He met this displacement with a focused growth mindset. Instead of shrinking, he treated the new system as a series of problems to be solved. The results were immediate and measurable. His attacks became demonstrably sharper, allowing him to systematically dismantle the world's elite defenders. The growing list of individual awards and shattered records proved his absolute dominance at the club level. Mastering a new arena requires treating environmental shock as mandatory data for accelerated learning. Despite this dominance, his most brutal test came on the international stage, where he suffered agonizing, repeated failures. Public criticism was relentless. Critics labeled him a club legend, someone who could win leagues but couldn't elevate his national team when it counted most. This scrutiny took a severe psychological toll, pushing him so close to his breaking point that he briefly announced his retirement from international play. This period demanded an active, agonizing patience. He chose to re-enter the arena, fully aware that failure was the most likely outcome. He spent years weathering public pressure and repeated near misses, staying locked on to the long-term goal despite the short-term agony. This type of patience is not passive waiting. It is the active endurance of public failure until the final objective is secured. The World Cup trophy stands as the delayed mathematical output of a lifetime spent laboring, adapting, and waiting. The millions cheering in the stadium witnessed the triumph of a relentless mindset over biological limits. Physical limitations and harsh environments create friction, but they do not set a person's absolute ceiling. Talent is an entry requirement, but it is insufficient on its own to create historical impact. Greatness, the kind that turns a rejected boy into history, is manufactured solely by a